Hello, everyone. This is your favorite genie in a bottle, or I guess you could say genie in New York City. Gene, I hope you're all doing well. And I saw this yesterday on Just Some Guys video, this Men in Comics Say No thing, and I wanted to do a video then, but it was like past midnight, and even I have to sleep. So I thought I'd do a video this morning. It's very early here in the city. It's like a little after 6:30 in the morning. I should be sleeping, but my cat woke me up like an hour earlier because, well, he's a cat. But anyway, I wanted to cover this because, yeah, this ticked me off royally when I saw it yesterday on Just Some Guy's channel. So I will admit, I've been out of the loop a little bit on the drama that goes on within the comic book industry, given everything else that's been going on recently in about the past 3 weeks or so. So I haven't been quite as up on my comic news perhaps as I should be. You're gonna hear some city noises outside. It's the city never sleeps. And without any fans going, I don't need to pass out. So please don't mind the city noises. But anyhow, so I just wanted to cover this. So all I've heard about what possibly prompted this pledge that apparently only men in comics are supposed to be taking, right? Is that apparently Warren Ellis, from what I understand, maybe there's more information. If there is, please let me know. But apparently Warren Ellis, he's been accused of grooming young women. From what I've heard, the accusations seem to be that he, at some point in time, years and years and years ago, befriended several women who were like in their early 20s that were getting started in the comic book industry, right? So he befriended them, and try to help them get their foot in the door. And then apparently at some point he basically like tried to take things in a more intimate direction, right? Tried to I guess to get a date, ask them out, and then when they shot him down, right? He basically ghosted them. This is what I understand it. If I'm wrong, please let me know. But from what I've heard about this, this is basically, at least in his case, yeah, there's my hand. In his case, that's what happened, right? He got close to them, hoping that maybe he could get closer, and then when they said no to him, he just ghosted them. While not the most mature behavior in the world, I don't see where he committed such an egregious crime. Right, again, if you got more information that I don't know about, please share in the comments. But apparently now, because of this and other things, now apparently there's this thing going around comics Twitter saying, I pledge, I pledge. Sure. But anyway, so let me go over this and explain what I absolutely find detestable. Sorry. What I absolutely find detestable about it. So I'm going to read it and then I'm going to give my thoughts on each part. So, men in comics say no. And already right here, I am ticked off. This is not about men in comics, right? People being abusive or harassing or grooming or whatnot. It's not about men and women. It's not a guy thing, right? Most men will tell you that abuse and harassment and grooming and manipulation, especially toward women, right, are horrible, awful things, right? So it isn't, at least in my opinion, that men in comics need to say no. No, it's that people in comics, be they male, female, trans, or whatever else, people in comics need to say no to these abusive, sincerely toxic behaviors, putting the onus on men to do better and putting it on them to change without demanding the same thing from everybody else does not address the problem, which is the abusive culture and the abusive actions. It's turning something that is not a gendered issue into a gendered issue. So there's my issue with the title right there. So now after that it says there are a lot of ideals we claim to honor in comics. Hope, justice, unity, innovation, creativity, and freedom. That's true. I've also learned, having interacted with a few, in particular with Mark Waid, right? Uh, People in comics ever since I've become a content creator. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that if you are so inclined, you should try to embody these ideals in yourself as much as one can. But at the same time, don't expect them in other people, right? As the saying goes, never meet your heroes. Okay, so there's that. Now it says, none of them mean anything unless men in comics change our behavior and hold each other accountable for the safety of women and all people of marginalized genders and sexes. Okay, as I said before, it's just putting the onus on men to change when it's not men who are the problem. It is the culture, it is the action, it is the mindset of certain men and certain women and certain people who are trans and everything else. It's a people problem. It's a dark side of human nature problem, not a man problem. When you try to make it a man problem, you put the onus on men, right? You basically give give them collective guilt that they don't need. Ah, am I itching so much? And on top of that, you take the onus of responsibility and consequence. When you take that from women, or from any group, really, but when you take that from any other group but the group you've now chosen to bear the burden of everybody's sins, like they're Jesus or something, right? When you take that away, guess what happens? You take away the agency of the other groups who you are not requiring this from. And in my opinion, to do that, to take agency away from a person or from a group, and to throw that weight, throw that burden, right, onto, in this case, men, right? A, it doesn't address the problems of toxic behavior in the comic book industry. B, it vilifies and demonizes men. C, it makes anybody who is not a man, we'll just put it that way, right? It makes them look angelic and holy. We are without sin. No, no, you're not. You are not. And more importantly, it does not provide any protections for men. This is just about, in my opinion, just about hurting men and just blaming them and putting all the junk on them to absolve yourself of guilt. If you need to do that, if you basically need to pull a Claude Frollo, right? It's not my fault. I'm not to blame. It's the gypsy girl. She sent this flame. If you need to do that, then you're the problem, chief. So there's that. Now, it says here, I pledge, I do solemnly swear, right? To never abuse, harass, groom, or manipulate women and all people of marginalized genders and sexes. And then there's a little asterisk at the bottom which says, we understand marginalized genders and sexes to include, but not be limited to, non-binary and binary trans people, two-spirit, agender, and gender-fluid people, as well as intersex people of any gender, right? So basically, what this first line is saying is that these men in comics need to pledge to basically not abuse, harass, groom, or manipulate women or anybody else who would fall outside of the traditional gender binary of male and female. But as I said just now, right, this does not provide protections for men. For example, for example, let's say you had a guy, right, who wanted to abuse, harass, groom, and manipulate, say, comic writer Sina Grace, right, who's an openly gay man. Guess what? This provides absolutely no protection to Sina Grace. It excludes him completely based on his gender, because it's not demanding that you never abuse, harass, groom, or manipulate men, right? It's demanding that you refrain from doing these things, not at all, which is what it should be, right? It should say you should never be abusive, you should never be harassing, You should never groom. You should never manipulate anybody. That's what it should be saying. But it's not saying that. It's saying that you should not do these things to women or to people who are outside of the traditional gender binary. So it doesn't protect men like Cena Grace. It doesn't protect gay men. And guess what? It doesn't even necessarily protect all women. Because guess what? There are women, in anything you'll find, who can be abusive and harassing and grooming and manipulative. I know, for example, in the school system, right, in like high schools and whatnot, there have been more than a few cases of female teachers who were sleeping with their male students, right? So women can be predatory and they can be harassing. I'm sure all of us at some point in our lives have encountered at least one toxic woman, right, in some fashion. So this does not protect women from other women because women don't have to take this pledge. No one's going to ask a woman to say, "I do solemnly swear to be a good person," right? It's not asking women of this, so it's not protecting women from other women, right? Though to be fair, as Plato, I think it was Plato, once said, good people don't need to be told laws or given laws to behave responsibly, and bad people will just find a way around it anyhow. But that's beside the point. My point is, this pledge does not stop women, right, from harassing and abusing and grooming and manipulating other women, and doesn't even stop women from doing the same thing to men. It just puts men at this incredible disadvantage by having them pledge, right, and not having anybody else pledge. And then in this pledge, there's absolutely no protections for them. So thanks a lot. You've just opened up Cena Grace to potential harassment from men and women. You've done nothing to protect him, comic book industry. I hope you're happy with this stupid pledge. But anyway, so there's that. Now the second one is to hold myself accountable for my own actions, to be open to the comments and concerns of my peers, and to educate myself. Now, the first part I actually do agree with. Yes, we should ideally hold ourselves accountable for our own actions and their consequences. And in theory, right, we should be open to the comments and concerns of our peers and educate ourselves if we're ignorant of something. But let's be honest, this second part here, be open to the comments and concerns of my peers and educate myself, has nothing to do with honestly being open to critique and criticism or being open to being told that maybe your behavior is out of bounds in some way. This is about basically opening your mind to the hive mind. We are the Borg. You will be assimilated. That's basically, in my opinion, what they're calling for here, right? To be open to the comments and concerns of your peers. Well, here's the thing about that. You can be open to the comments and concerns of your peers, but the comments and concerns of your peers may be completely baseless, or they may not apply to you. Let me give you a hypothetical example, right? Let's say Tristan of Nerdette's Newsstand, right? We know each other, we run in the same circles, we make content, we be on each other's channels, right? I would say that we are peers, right? And internet friends. So let's say she came on my channel, right, and left me a comment saying, Gene, watch them cigarettes. I know you smoke all the time. Watch them cigarettes. You might get cancer one day. Well, here's the thing. That would be a comment. That would be a concern for my health. And that would be coming from a peer. That would also absolutely be completely baseless and pointless to tell me, to say to me, because of all the health issues I have, smoking isn't one of them. I've never smoked a day in my life. And I've never disclosed anything about my personal health or medical history that would give Tristan or anybody else reason to believe that I smoke or that I have smoked at some point in my life. I don't smoke now. I've never smoked. So telling me to be concerned about smoking, right, about a habit that I don't engage in, would be a completely baseless, pointless comment. Well-intentioned, of course. And again, this is a hypothetical situation. I want to be clear. I'm just using it as an example, right? It would be a well-intentioned comment, but it would not apply to me. So therefore, it's not something I necessarily have to hear, right? It's not applicable to me. Not every criticism or comment or concern is valid in your situation. So yes, be open to listening, but listening does not automatically mean you must do or respond to what your well-intentioned peers may say. Again, as an example. And let's be honest. At this point, educate myself means Reeducation Camp. And I'm not for that. Right? I don't like being told how to think or what to think. Give me the information, I'll come to a conclusion on my own. Right? So now here's point 3. To actively intervene when we see or know of abuse, harassment, grooming, or manipulation. So where were you, comics industry, when Mark Waid allegedly, I think he's guilty of it, but allegedly contacted Antarctic Press and pressured them and bullied them, allegedly, into not publishing Richard Meyer's Jawbreakers comic? Where were you then? Now some may say, well, Gene, that doesn't relate. In my opinion, it does, because it was still abuse, harassment, and manipulation, in particular of Antarctic Press. It doesn't necessarily have to be a sexual behavior, right? There's nothing about sexual behaviors in this. It's just talking about don't be abusive, don't harass, don't groom, don't manipulate. Those don't have to be in the context of sex and relationships, right? So where were you, comic industry, when Mark Waid allegedly did these things on Twitter, in the public space? Where were you then? Where were you calling him out for that? You weren't calling him out. You were cheering him on. Number 1. Number 2, right? Where were you a few years ago where Ericescovez, right, who's now back in the comic industry, right, which kind of went under the radar, but I saw the reports back in February that he's back working on a comic, right? But he got canceled, what was it, last year, maybe the year prior, right, when one of his ex-girlfriends came out and explained how toxic he had been in their relationship. This was around the time his comic Border Town, which was not well received, had come out. And then, of course, it was only after this happened that suddenly everybody in the comics industry knew but had never said anything, right? And then DC drops him like a bad habit once this comes out, right? I agree in theory with, yes, intervening when you see something being done wrong. But A, there's a difference between something being done wrong and something you dislike happening. Somebody behaving in a manner you dislike. And again, when the comic industry has this history of basically staying silent, of playing, hear no evil, see no evil, right? Whenever it's one of their buddies in trouble, I really don't think they're going to hold up their end of the bargain on this particular pledge point. Right? To ally for women and all people of marginalized genders and sexes experiencing abuse, harassment, grooming, or manipulation. As a woman, I don't need a white knight. I don't need a hero in, I don't know, shining armor. I'm not even sure it even applies anymore. But I sure as hell don't need somebody to ally with me because I am female. I don't need that. If you are truly about helping women and being an ally to women, then hold women accountable for their actions as well. Hold women accountable for the things they say and for the things they do. And call them out also when women engage in abuse and harassment and grooming and manipulation and various other things. Don't make it just about men. Women need to be a part of this too. Trans people need to be a part of this too. Non-binary, two-spirit, agender, whatever it is. Everybody needs to be held to the same standards, not just the men. To actively call out our friends and peers even when no one else is watching. Yeah, let's be honest, comic book industry, y'all aren't going to do that. You'll call out Comicsgate all you like because you hate them. But you're not going to call yourselves out because, at least recently, you have never operated on actually practicing what you preach. So I highly doubt you're going to change now. So this is pointless. And then in the last one it says, to commit to this pledge for the long haul and keep this conversation alive in the industry. In other words, sell your soul to the devil, right? Sell your soul to the devil. Give your, what's the term? Putting your nags in a purse or in her purse. That's basically what they want, right? But they want it for men in comics to take this pledge and basically vow, right? I do solemnly swear that I will be your whipping post and your whipping boy for as long as you need it, because I am guilty, because I am male. Like I said, the skit that I think it was the Amazing Atheist used to do, right? Sorry, I'm white. Sorry, I'm male. Sorry, I'm white. Sorry, I'm male. No, no. Now here's the thing. Sadly, there are going to be people who, either to promote themselves or to protect themselves, are going to take this pledge. There are going to be men out there who do this. So this is my message to the men who are going to take this pledge. Please don't. You're not helping if you take this pledge, especially if you take it seriously. You're not helping because this pledge does not deal with the toxic issues, right, of the culture within the comic book industry. It does not deal with the toxic behaviors such as cancellation, such as going after people just because they work with people you don't like. Okay, they're always trying to cancel, for example, Sean Gordon Murphy because he at times works with people or is friendly with fans, or at least respectful, I should say, toward fans who tend to be very critical of the comic book industry. This pledge will not address any of the stated behavior within. It's only going to embolden the people who engage in this behavior, because they're going to look at it as a shield. Again, okay, well, I can't abuse women. I'll just abuse a man, or from a woman. I can abuse anybody I want now because I'm not being held to the same standard. People who are bad will simply find ways around the rules or around these stupid pledges to be bad. People who want to abuse, harass, groom will just find ways to do it. You need to address the culture. You need to address the behavior, right? And the loopholes and the issues within the culture which allow this thing to happen. The only thing I'll say positive about this is that it is bringing abuse, grooming, and manipulation and whatnot to light. I'll give it that, okay. But it's not addressing it. It's not trying to solve it or to mitigate it or to root it out of the comic book culture and industry. What it is just saying, hey guys, we're throwing all this junk on you and we're blaming you for it. That's not a solution. That's victimization. That's sexism, and I can't stand it. So if you're going to take this pledge, please heed my call and don't take this pledge. And if you are someone who sadly has taken this pledge, then here's what I have to say to you. You need to grow a spine. You need to learn to stand up for yourself. You need to learn to not take responsibility for things that you are not guilty of. You need to grow a pair. And dear God, you need Jesus. But anyway, that's my video, right? Oh, since we're talking about pledges, I'll make a pledge right now. I do solemnly swear to call out stupidity wherever I see it. And I also pledge that I am indeed up to no good. But anyway, that's the video. Please let me know what you think, and I will see you all in the next one. Have a good day, everyone. Bye.